Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to Swayam Prabha, Channel 15. The course title is Human Resource Management and the lecture title is Training and Development Part 2. This is Module 10, Lecture 3. I am Dr. Shoma Sengupta, Associate Professor Commerce, Kamla Nehru College, University of Delhi. In this module, we will discuss the method of development, that is, off-the-job techniques. Off-the-job techniques. As the name suggests, these type of development programs are held outside the job and hence it is called off-the-job technique. The focus in off-the-job methods of development is to improve general behavior and decision-making skills of the executives. They are general in nature and not for a particular job. That means the idea is to provide the means for full development of the executives, the overall development of the executives. The techniques include lectures, case studies, group discussions, conferences, role playing, management games, in-basket exercises, sensitivity training, programmed instructions. So the first technique of the job technique is lecture. It is a formally organized talk by an instructor on specific topic. So there is one instructor, one lecturer who is imparting knowledge to a group of people. So many trainees can be given the same kind of information at one point of time. So it is best method of presenting and explaining series of facts, concepts, principles, attitudes, problem solving skills, etc. and imparting knowledge to several persons at a time. Technical or spatial information of complex nature, it can also be imparted, that knowledge can be imparted to the trainees. It must be supplemented by discussions, case studies, demonstrations, audio visual aids and film shows. Otherwise lectures become monotonous and boring. Lecture method is used to introduce a subject to reduce anxiety about upcoming training programs, organizational changes, also to present basic material providing a common background and to illustrate the application of rules and regulation. Besides that, lecture can be held for any new techniques of management which is coming up or any technical issue which is coming up. The advantages of lectures are you can teach to several persons at a time. It is time saving and economical method of imparting knowledge, presents the overview and scope of the subject very clearly, and it is the simplest of all the techniques. The disadvantages are one-way communication with no participation or feedback from the trainees. So this can happen if the person who is taking the lecture is not involving the trainees in discussions and interactions. Trainees lose in attention quickly as they are only passive listeners. Emphasis is on accumulation and memorization instead of application of knowledge. Other disadvantages of lecture method are it becomes boring and unpalatable to the trainees, requires lot of preparation and speaking skill for which the teacher executives generally lack time and training. The material to be presented will have to be geared up to a common level of knowledge. Otherwise, lectures are of no use. Lecture method can be made effective by well-planned purpose and contents, competent and good speakers. Keep in mind the listener's needs and interests. Keep it short, interesting and interactive by using question answer sessions, guided discussions and audio visual aids. The next method of development is case studies. A real or hypothetical problem or situation demanding solution is presented in writing to the trainees. Thorough description of some events that actually occurred in an organization is given. So a case is provided to the trainee executives with all the details. Now this case can be, as I said, it can be real or it can be hypothetical. Trainees read the case, analyze it, evaluate, and present alternative solutions to the problem. Now the trainer will guide the discussion. The suggestions are discussed where the individual is able to obtain information about how others viewed the case. So this trainee is given the case, others are also given the case, but they will be analyzing the same thing in different ways. And while discussions, one trainee will get to know about how the others are thinking, how they are analyzing, and what kind of solutions they are coming out with. So this is the case study method. The advantages of case study method are: it promotes analytical thinking and problem solving skill. The trainee learns to face facts and appreciate others' viewpoint, increases the learner's power of observation and allows him to look from a broader angle. Simple and interesting method. Trainees are actively involved. It discourages snap judgments. Actual incidents or real life cases may be used. It encourages open-mindedness and provides a means of integrating interdisciplinary knowledge. The disadvantages of case study method are: poorly conducted discussion may degenerate into a rambling session from which participants derive no learning, may promote objective discussion but no basic change takes place in the behavior and attitude of the trainees in the absence of emotional involvement. It may suppress the critical faculties of introverts or mediocres who do not participate actively. Time consuming and expensive process to prepare good case studies. Cultural situations demand different solutions. So a few method or means to make it effective are: selecting the instructor who is able and trained. Cases should be objective and true representation of issues involved. So it is always better to have real life cases, and group of trainees should be able enough to understand the case. So the case should be within the comprehension of the trainees. The trainees' knowledge has to be checked first and then decide on the case to be presented to them. The next off the job technique is group discussion. Now group discussion is a development technique as well as in selection procedure also group discussions can be used. It is a variant of lecture method. Here everybody is involved in it. So sometimes it is called as a seminar or conference also, but it is a little bit different from all these. That is lecture, seminar and conferences. A critical discussion takes place among the group of participants. A topic is presented to them, or a paper containing a selected topic that is submitted by one or more trainees that can be given for discussion to the trainee participants. Generally, the material to be discussed is distributed to the participants in advance. The chairman of the group summarizes the contents of the paper and discussions follow afterwards. So chairman has a crucial role to play. He starts the discussion. Sometimes he gives the topic on his own, or he selects a topic which is suggested by a trainee. He moderates the discussion. He acts as a moderator and sees to it that the discussion doesn't go off the track. Also, he involves each and every participant, controls the extroverts and encourage the introverts, and finally discusses and give the feedback to the participants. The advantages of this method is helps the executive participants to learn from the experiences of each other, and it has become a quite a popular technique, as I said, for training purposes, development purposes, as well as for selection purposes also. Limitation is introverts do not actively participate and discussion is dominated by extroverts or good orators. So this problem creeps in many kind of simulation exercises also, that is introverts do not participate, extroverts they steal the show. try to steal the show. So this method can be made effective by the moderator or chairman, as we have discussed his duties also, and also the participant should be given instructions in advance through different information vouchers, say brochures and all, though it may be given separately. Chairman or moderator should ensure to keep the discussion on the track, control the extroverts, and encourage the introverts. Group of trainees should be more or less of equal abilities so that they are in common platform and everybody can understand the topic and discuss it out. Another technique of or of the job technique of development is conferences or seminars. It is a meeting of several persons to discuss problems of common interest. Each participant in the conference contribute his own ideas towards the solution of problems. So sometimes the conferences are theme based and everybody knows in advance what the theme is, and they come out with different papers they present over there. Or sometimes on the spot some themes are given or some problem is given, people discuss it out, they present their cases, and then finally they come out with a common understanding. It is best suited when the problem has to be analyzed and examined from different points of view. Participants develops knowledge and understanding by obtaining a considerable amount of oral participation. The advantages of conference method are, for member, an effective training device to learn from others by comparing his own opinions and with those of others. Learn to respect the viewpoint of others. Realizes that there is more than one workable solution or approach to a problem. Participants play an active role. So these are the benefits for the member, that it is an effective training device. For conference leader, the benefits are, it develops his skill to motivate people through his direction of discussion, learns the effects of closely controlling and dominating the discussion as compared to adopting a more permissive type of direction. The disadvantage of conference method are, the progress is often slow as everyone speaks out, irrelevant issues may creep in, and the main issue is lost in the process. How to make the conferences effective? Free and frank discussion among the participants should take place. Absence of domination by few participants. Relevant discussion on the concerned problem. Efficiency of the leader of the conference. Large number of participants, if they are there, they can be put in different groups so that the participants get opportunity to present their ideas in small groups. And finally, at the valedictory session, all the discussions, they can be presented over there in different groups. Whatever has been done, the conference leader of each of the group leaders can present the outcome of the discussion in the valedictory session. Next technique is role playing. It's a kind of a skit or a drama whereby the whole of the any real or hypothetical situation can be taken up which is happening in the organization. A role is given to different persons or the trainees. They enact that role, and in that process they not only understand the problems and opportunities of that job position, but also understand the viewpoint of other people may playing the role of some other job position. So it is a technique of creating a life situation involving conflict between people. In a group, trainees play the parts or roles of specific personalities. For example, in organization, many a times there is a rift or conflict between the marketing or sales manager and the production manager. So in a role playing exercise, one case may be taken up and two persons can be given two roles. One becomes the marketing manager, another the production manager. They will interact on that particular case and finally come out with the solution. In that process, both of them will understand the problems faced by the other. So there will be interaction between the role players and the rest of the participants. Role playing primarily involves employer employee relationships, grievance procedures, post appraisal interview, disciplining a subordinate, interdepartmental issues or problems. So the advantages of role playing is it develops interpersonal or human relation skills, brings about desired changes in the attitudes and behavior of the participants. Trainees learn by doing and by quick feedback. The degree of learning is high because the participants learn by observing and listening, makes trainees self-conscious, imaginative, and analytical of their own behavior. It involves a simulation by creating an environment which will be similar to the real work situation. Now, role-playing management games, these are all simulation exercises. So the problem with such a method is always that it may be different from reality, or it may be a hypothetical situation, and again that problem of controlling the extroverts and encouraging the introverts will always be there with any kind of role playing or simulation exercises. So another simulation exercise is management games. In role playing, individuals were playing different roles. In management games, two or more groups will be fighting it out and coming out with a solution for a given problem. So there are teams. Here there are two or more teams which will be fighting for with each other to find a better solution. Now, it is a dynamic group exercise in sequential decision making under simulated organizational conditions. Trainees are divided into different groups or teams. Each group or team has to discuss and arrive at decisions relating to matters like production, pricing, research, advertising, etc., on the assumption that each group of team itself or team itself is the management or the firm. So this team will arrive at decisions believing that they are the management team. The other group acts as competitors of the firm and react to the decisions. But management games can take place in different issues, and the situations may be different. Each team's immediate feedback to the decisions of others enables the management to know the relative performance of each team. Cooperation between the teams help to promote interaction among the participants and gives them the experience of cooperative efforts. Now, this is again a simulation exercise. Only difference is that here teams are there. So the advantages and disadvantages of all those simulation exercises will remain here. That advantages are participation of members and cooperation, interaction, human relation skills, communication skills, decision making abilities. All these are imparted to the trainees. But the difficulties are again how to manage them, how to control them, and the problems of like extroverts speaking more, the introverts, they are not coming out of their shell. So all these problems which we have discussed in other techniques, they remain here in all kind of simulation exercises. Next one is in basket exercise. It is again a simulation technique. Trainee is provided with a basket or a tray containing papers and files relating to his functional area. These materials may be previous phone call records, meetings, complaints to handle, orders to make, etc. Now he is required to carefully study this paper and pass his own remarks or observation on the problem situation. After the session is completed, the trainer and the trainee meet to discuss and evaluate the trainee's performance. The observations of different trainees are compared and conclusions are arrived at afterwards and are put down in the form of a report. Now again, this is a simple simulation exercises like case study, role playing, management games. Here again a situation is given to him, all the materials are given, and the person has to arrive at a decision. So the advantages and disadvantages, what we have discussed earlier, they remain here also. The specific advantages, it develops skills in decision making and ability to differentiate significant from the important. It means that lots of information and paper is given to him. He has to find out those points which are more important or significant in taking decisions. The next off the job technique of development is sensitivity training. It is also known as T group training or laboratory training. T again stands for training. It is absolutely unstructured. The main objective of sensitivity training is the development of awareness and sensitivity to one's own behavioral pattern and that of others through interaction with them. The trainer initially explains the technique to the participants and informs the purpose. Then he neither acts as the leader nor moderates the discussion nor there is any agenda. As I said, that it is totally unstructured. So the trainees are put together, explain the training purpose, and they have to interact and find out situation and solution. So the trainer is a moderator who provides feedback but doesn't actively moderate the whole of the discussion. Trainee learns by himself. The steps in sensitivity training program, it is a 3-stepped process. First step is unfreezing the old value. That is forgetting the old value so that you can take up the new values. So how that can be done? The trainees become aware of the inadequacy of the old values. As we have said that it's an unstructured group of 10 to 15 people are formed. Objective is not clear and the trainer does not provide guidance. Trainees are motivated to resolve the uncertainty. They form some hierarchy with some assuming the role of a leader, which may not be liked by others. They start realizing their own desires and alternative ways of dealing with the situation. In the second step, it is development of new values. With the trainer's support, trainees begin to examine their interpersonal behavior and giving each other feedback. The reasoning of feedbacks are discussed which motivates trainees to experiment with range of new behavior and values. The change process of development of new values begins here. So here he has picked up new values. In the third stage, it is refreezing the new ones. So whatever he has learned, the new values, he has to apply it, or some opportunity should be given to him on the job to showcase his new values. So this step depends upon how much opportunity the trainees get to practice their new behavior and values at their workplace. And in fact, so that the new behavior and new values become part of his life, you have to reinforce that behavior time to time by giving some positive reaction whenever he is displaying the new behavior. The outcome of sensitivity training. So this can again be divided into 3 outcomes. One, knowing the self, knowing the roles, and knowing the organization. So self, increased awareness of one's own feelings and reactions and own impact on others. Increased awareness of feelings and reactions of others and their impact on self. Increased awareness of dynamics of group action. Changed attitude towards self, others, and groups. That is more respect for, tolerance for, and faith in self, others, and groups. Increased interpersonal competencies, skill in handling interpersonal and group relationships towards more productive and satisfying relationships. Next outcome is understanding the role. Increased awareness of own organizational role and dynamics, dynamics of larger social system, dynamics of the change process in self, small groups and organizations, changed attitudes towards own role, role of others and organizational relationships, more respect, greater willingness to achieve collaborative relationships with others based on mutual trust, increased interpersonal competence in handling organizational role, relationships with superiors, peers, and subordinates. And finally, understanding the organization, about the organizational problems of interdependent groups or units, increased awareness, changed attitudes, increased interpersonal competence, organizational improvement through the training of relationships or groups. No isolated individuals, everybody is part of the organization, so relationships has to be understood. The advantages of sensitivity training are it is informal and unstructured. It creates self-awareness about one's own behavior and its impact on others, better understanding and awareness of group and interpersonal or intergroup processes, develops interpersonal competence and sharpen teamwork skills, free and open environment where trainees can discuss themselves and express their ideas, beliefs, and attitudes, develops emotional intelligence, enabling him to be sensitive and understanding to the emotions of others, lessens conflict and misunderstandings, and improves productivity of the organization. The limitations are it involves stress-like situation which can cause serious psychological damage or behavioral breakdown of the participants to the participants. The trainees may become sensitive to the feelings of others that he is unwilling to take hard decisions. Ways to make sensitivity training effective. Trainer must translate emotional situation into constructive consequences. Participants with emotional stability and high tolerance for anxiety should be selected. Programs should be strictly voluntary. Participants should be told in advance what they are going to experience. Mechanism for transferring the learning to the work situation should be created. With all these things, you can make sensitivity training effective. The last of the job technique of development is programmed instruction. Here the information or subject matter is broken into meaningful units so that all the units constitute a logical and sequential package. So the trainee will be given instruction in small packages rather than a complete program. Each package is built upon the earlier ones. The programmed instructions include elaborate teaching machines, films, sound tapes, programmed books, illustrations, printed material, and diagrams. Through all these things, you are giving information or imparting knowledge to the participants. The package is in the form of questions along with necessary information, and the trainees have to answer immediately. So once you complete a particular unit, you have to give answers and that will give a feedback also. The trainer monitors the trainees while they are working on the instruction and provides them feedback. The advantages of this method are it teaches the trainees behavioral and non-motor skills. Trainees understand and follow better as the subject matter is broken into logical units and given in a sequential manner rather than at one go. Active participation by the learner at each step of the program. Trainees learn at their own pace. Trainees get the immediate feedback from the trainer. Disadvantage is it is expensive and time consuming, and to make it effective, feedback should be given immediately. Take into account individual differences in backgrounds, and different programs according to the abilities of trainees should be created. So to summarize this module, we can say lectures are formally organized talks by an instructor or on specific topics. In case study, a real or hypothetical problem is presented to the trainees who then analyze, evaluate, and present alternative solutions to the problem. In group discussion, critical discussion takes place among a group of participants on a topic to arrive at a conclusion or solution. Conferences are the meeting of several persons to discuss problems and of common interest. Role playing, management games, and in-basket exercises are simulation techniques whereby the participants learn decision-making abilities while finding solution to a problem. Sensitivity training aims at development of awareness and sensitivity to one's own behavioral pattern through interaction with others. And lastly, in programmed instructions, the information is broken into meaningful units and given in a logical and sequential manner to the trainees. So for reference, you can go for Personal Management by E.B. Flippo or Modern Human Resource Management by C.B. Gupta. Thank you, students. This was Training and Development Part 2, Module 10, Lecture 3.